Raleigh. I can't hear you.
Okay, we're going to have to, it's now 5:30. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And
sound up, please.
Tell Dennis, yes, we hear him.
we do.
Wilson's got his mute on, I see.
Yeah. So each board member can unmute themselves and I'll do a roll call. Mr. Bender? I think we have some technical difficulties with it streaming. He's present and we see him. Ms. Davis?
Here. I can barely hear anything. Yeah.
Did you hear me, Trinae?
I did. Thank you, Donna.
Okay.
Ms. Okpara? Ms. Okpara?
I'm here.
Thank you. Mr. Raleigh?
Present.
And Mr. So? Mr. So, you're on mute. There we go.
Yeah, still shows he's muted.
Okay. If we can do the Pledge of Allegiance, I know we've got a flag ready to go.
Maria, can you see my flag?
Yes, let's go.
Ready? Begin.
Flag.
Allegiance to the flag of United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we got a real big flag blowing in the breeze. That was great.
Kylie, are there any public comment cards?
We have no public comments at this time.
Thank you.
We will need to go into closed session to discuss the following items. Pupil personnel, searching case stipulated 7/19/20, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, transfer, leave, title certificated and classified employees, public employee appointment, resignation, retirement, reduction, certificated and classified employees, conference with real property negotiator, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator, Dustin Conrad, employee organization, Apple Valley Unified Teachers Association, conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator, Dustin Conrad, employee organization, CSEA, California School Employees Association, and conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator, Trinae Nelson, employee organizations, unrepresented, and superintendent's evaluation. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Okpara. I have a second by Mr. Bender. A vote of all those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That passes with a 5-0.
Okay, Mike. I think I have to do something to join the break session.
Yes, you should see a pop-up that asks you to join the breakout session. You want to say yes to that.
Renee, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
2
we
minutes.
can hear you, Rick. Okay, we are coming back to public session, and so we'll need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll call the meeting to order.
Mike's
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the flag of the United
United
States
States of America, and to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it stands, one
one
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And well, we had a nice flag.
We did. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Kylie because we have videos that are from our high school student report.
Honey.
You've all been doing well during these trying times. Since we have not been at school, I've been unable to inform you of Granite's activities the past few months. So I'd like to take a moment to reflect upon the events of the 2019-20 school year as a whole and inform you of what Granite has been doing to help our students while learning from home. The 2019-2020 school year truly has been one for the record books due to Granite Hills breaking records in all areas throughout the entire year. This began in August when we held the largest, most successful club rush ever held at Granite, with hundreds of students joining clubs on campus. The immense size of Club Rush carried further into the year when ASB hosted the best homecoming halftime show at Granite in years and sold both the most homecoming tickets and winter formal tickets ever sold. This was also our most successful year for all of our sports on campus and our numerous clubs that do charity events. Aside from improving events, sports, and community service activities that Granite already hosts, we also introduced many new ones. This year, we introduced a brand new writing center that was immensely successful and well received by the school. Continuing upon things we introduced to improve learning, we also hosted a free ACT available for juniors in order to see the results of having students test on computers versus with pencils and paper. While we focus heavily on academics for students, we also focus on activities that help promote good values in students and teach them valuable life lessons. This year, we improved these activities by transforming our weekly PBIS lesson from Cougar Culture to the Forum. Our staff worked very hard to ensure that this transition went smoothly, and it did not go unnoticed by our student body. This is one example of how we adapt to changes around us in order to provide the best possible opportunities for our students. Another example of this is ASB forming an online platform to communicate more effectively with students and better advertise events. Our platform grew very quickly and has greatly helped us keep spirits up while students are learning from home. Well, on the topic of distance learning, I'd like to tell you about how Granite has effectively adapted to this change, providing students with a positive environment to continue learning. Our teachers quickly learned how to transform their classes online and have worked tirelessly with students to ensure that they are still learning and succeeding. This transition was essentially seamless due to the wonderful work of everyone at Granite. Not only has the transition to online learning been smooth, the ASB has also been working to keep spirits up from a distance. Since distance learning has been implemented, ASB has hosted a virtual Spirit Week, an online Granite Hills High School bingo, and made commemorative posts for seniors. In order to ensure our transition back to normal classes next year is smooth, ASB also moved officer elections online. Normally, this is where I would introduce the Governing Council President for the 2020-2021 school year to you. However, due to the fact that I'm a junior this year, I was able to run for president again. After all the candidates, including myself, campaigned for a week, Granite student body voted online and the results were tallied. I am pleased to announce that I will be returning as Granite Hills Governing Council President for the 2020-2021 school year. I hope to carry this year's immense successes with me into next year. Thank you, board members, Superintendent Nelson, and attendees for taking your time tonight and every month to listen to my updates about Granite and for providing me with the opportunities I have been given. Until the next time we speak, Granite wishes you all the best and wants you to always remember, maroon and gray all the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have a report from Apple Valley High School as well.
find you guys in good health and spirits. And I just wanted to first start off by saying thank you to you guys for making the most of this unique situation. And I know it's been rough for everyone, but especially thankful for Apple Valley High School and you guys for making the most of it and supporting us through it all. So on May 8th, our seniors were able to receive their caps and gowns that they purchased. Some of our teachers, ASB members, and others from the community made posters to celebrate our graduating class and hung them up on the fences, and so we can see them while we drove to pick up our caps and gowns. This Thursday, we have our senior checkout, where our graduating class will bring all their items that need to be returned back to school. During this time, our seniors will receive a special gift and sashes and cords for their achievements in school. On May 22nd, senior awards will be published via social media outlets to recognize our outstanding seniors and all the amazing things they accomplished this year. On May 28th, our original graduation date, there will be a victory lap celebration where students will come dressed in their caps and gowns and will be celebrated for all their hard work. Also, from May 26th to May 29th, the stadium lights will be on from 8:20 to 8:40 p.m. to honor the class of 2020. We are currently still holding out hope for an in-person graduation during the summertime.
Thank you, Kylie. And then you have any union reports from California School Employees Association, CSEA?
I do.
Okay.
Hello, board members, superintendent, and cabinet. I hope you are all staying safe and healthy. First, I want to thank you for recognizing our classified staff last board meeting earlier this month. Every year, as an association, we take the time to celebrate the commitment to the hardworking classified staff. Many of us are classified with students or relatives to many students in this district, so we deeply feel we are contributors to the successful development of all students in the Apple Valley community. I hope you will not think of us as selfish, as we have a little joy in giving to our peers to recognize all they have done. In following with CDC and county recommendations, we had a drive-by where volunteers put goodie bags together and handed them out in recognition for all that we do. We had over 100 cars, 30 raffle items, and helpful grocery gift cards. The response we had was bigger than we thought. I know we have had COVID-19, rising costs in health and welfare, and now the looming possibility of a reduction of more funding. I can only stay positive because I know in my heart, I truly believe there is a solution. Superintendent Nelson has been in contact recently, not to negotiate, but to reassure me that all staff, including classified, are very important. She has emphasized that we will look for ways as a team to find solutions and not barriers. Superintendent Nelson and cabinet has been compassionate, sympathetic, and we appreciate that. Today, I am asking the board to open their minds and hearts, not only to the future of our students, but also to our employees by their labor of love who have put forth many attributions to this community. I am hoping for openness to temporary fixes that may protect this district and staff while maintaining a great educational experience for the students in our community. CSEA 2 wishes the class of 2020 the best. We will miss them. Stay healthy and thank you for your time. Mike Kaufman, CSEA Chapter 828 President.
Thank you. And do you have a report from the Apple Valley Unified Teachers Association, Avuda?
I did not receive one.
Okay. In closed session, the Board of Trustees took action in support of the following recommendation from the superintendent. B2, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, transfer, leave. On a motion by Wilson So, seconded by Maria Okpara, vote 5-0. The Board of Trustees voted to approve the non-renewal of the following certificated temporary employee contracts identified by employee number commencing with the 2021 school year, and direct the superintendent or her designee given written notice thereof as required by law. number 6484, number 6401, number 0458, and number 5577. Again, these are all temporary contract teachers, backfilling for current contract teachers that are not in our system. The board may approve the agenda as is, or add and or pull items from the consent agenda for discussion and or action. We need to adopt the agenda as is.
So move.
Wilson, so? Do I have a second?
Then,
I'll second it.
Rick Raleigh? All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed?
Yes, one.
You're opposed to the, so
I'm opposed to 6. I'm pulling 6 and 9 on the agenda.
under the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to amend, or do you want to vote no against? Do you want to pull and
I'm going to pull it for now to have a discussion before I say yes.
Yeah, Marie just said pull the item 6 and 9. You don't oppose the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't oppose the rest of them. I'm just
Yeah.
pulling 6 and 9 and I want a discussion.
So
Okay,
we will amend the motion to approve all items except 6 and 9.
Correct.
okay, so do I have a motion to amend the item with 6 and 9 pulled?
I just made,
Yes.
9 pulled.
Okay, so motion by Dennis Bender, who's
Yeah.
the second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Wilson. Okay, so all those in favor of amending the agenda with number 6 and 9 pulled?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to D1, student recognition. Mr. Schlosser?
Are we going to discuss the 6 and 9 or not?
We do when we get to the consent agenda. You were just asking, you were just
Okay.
approving.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You know, this is the time of the year when usually the multi-purpose room is full of families, and we're in that big setting. And right about now, I'm asking you to move around to the front of the tables and join me in welcoming these students as they come across this, you know, the front of the table there, and we give them a certificate. I attempt to pronounce their names and read off what they've done, and you give them a handshake, and then they're gather with their parents for a quick photograph. And it's a little bit heartbreaking that we're not able to do it in that same way. And some of the contests that they usually participate in haven't even been able to happen because they were canceled because they were in-person contests. However, we do have still some things to celebrate. I hope that students and parents are gathered around our YouTube feed to kind of celebrate their students' achievements. So if you'll bear with me, I'd like to celebrate and read off some names for you and just kind of brag a little bit about our students. And so the first thing is the Mariana Academy Lego Robotics team placed second regionally for their project design. The students listed there: Zach Koster, Troy Madole, Jacqueline Garcia, Victoria Reyes, Leslie Aguilar, and Brock Staggs did a wonderful job, and their principal is very proud of them. We did still have science fair this year. Lots of students participated. This happened prior to closure. The subsequent fairs did have to make adjustments and do some things virtually. But these were students who did a wonderful job in science and engineering this year. Starting here, I'm going to actually kind of read through these quickly. Allison Diaz, silver medal in a most outstanding exhibit in materials science. Colin Hill, silver medal. Wyatt Mejia, silver medal. Kyler Peters, bronze, and those are all Sitting Bull students. From Vanguard, David Robertson, a silver medal. Serena Shin from Sitting Bull, a silver, also a Broadcom Masters invitation to go on. Valden Tidwell, a bronze medal. Nathan Watts, silver. Sophia West, silver. Yuvia Barajas, participation award. Malin Betcher, Diego Soto, Aaliyah Collins, Ty Dar, James Walraven, and Ethan Yazzie, all participation awards. And the last two names I'm sure you'll recognize if you've been at a science fair competition. You've heard the last name Reader, Alessandria and Gabriel Reader participated. And Gabriel Reader, a senior, his last science fair as an Apple Valley High School student, but I'm sure you haven't heard the last of him in the area of science. So it's a wonderful connection. Sandia Academy participates in a junior high version of the Health Occupation Students of America competition. They did have a student reach the top 25%, Alani Timmons, recognized for that outstanding accomplishment. Over at the Apple Valley Center for Innovation, we have 5 students who have been involved as explainers. These are students who spend their time as volunteers in the evenings, helping those students and families who come to engage in those science exhibits. And these students have acted as leads. What they do is they sort of coordinate all of the events. They make sure that the students who are there are at their assigned posts. So we want to recognize Aiden Wilkin, again, Gabriel Reader, Ben Tormina, Sophia Aguilera, and Jalen Givens for being wonderful community participants and volunteers at our Science Center. Skills USA is one of our career and technical student organizations. We did not have a state competition. We only had a regional competition. These are students who would have gone to state as gold medal recipients, top in their field. So Logan Cortez Nunez for action skills, Aiden Romero, Keenan Eck, and Elijah Garibay, chapter display team. Gabriel Reader for computer numeric controlled milling. Aiden Wilkin for computer numeric controlled turning. Jordi Piero for digital cinema, along with Cooper Nocera. Ethan Pratt and Tyrone Smith for emergency medical technician competition. Cecilia Lopez, part of the employment application skill-based competition. Emily Lovato for first aid CPR. Bernadette West for professional portfolio, and it goes on. Anthony Arias and Karen Pham for interactive application and video game development. Grace Klein for job skill demonstration. Gunnar Carlson for masonry. Jasmine Vasquez for medical assisting. Zoe Gilman, Haley Flores, and Kaylee Wagner, all for outstanding chapter. And Emma Manning in practical nursing. And then Gianna Vasquez, Lola Denmark, and Samantha Toplansky, all for promotional bulletin board. And then the final for Skills USA is in the gold medal group is from Granny Hills High School, Benjamin Tormina for firefighting and Abby Lewis for nursing assistant. For our Health Occupation Students of America at the high school level, they also competed in competitions, and these are students who were recognized as top in their field. And again, they did not get to have their final competition, but it was wonderful to see these students do well at the first step of the process. And so for Nisha Subramanian, Benjamin Offield Jennings, Isabella Nocera, Sophia Peterson, Cameron Stone, Abigail Thompson, Regine Fogarty, Nevea Hernandez, Jacqueline DeBlaze, Emma Weinberg, Michaela Washington, Abigail James, Jasmine Vasquez, and Brianna Didamore for the competitions listed there in the health-related fields and medical services occupations. Just outstanding work. And also for community service. What's recognized here is students who participate and give time of their own time for community service events. They're given an award called the Barbara James Award. And so for that, Haley Flores, Nayeli Martinez, and Nisha Subramaniam, all gold. Bernadette West, silver. And then Kaylee Wagner, Madison Larson, Cameron Stone, Wendy Araz, Cecilia Lopez, and Daniel Brook bronze. And actually the Apple Valley High School HOSA team, the chapter, was recognized for their HOSA service project. And they do a number of things in the community to give time and service to those in need. At Granite Hills High School also, there's a number of winners in the health occupation students area. Alex Jr. Kiamko, Jade Sanchez, Jordan Hand, Jashira Morales, Keslan Sikora, Benjamin Tormina, Edward Garcia, Jade Sanchez, Jordan Han, Brianna Navarrete, David Laponis, Angelina Lazoya, Raylene Rodriguez, Mariah McMillan, Savannah Rivera, Kayla Avalos, and Randy Garcia for those, again, those health-related occupational skills assessments listed there. On to our Future Farmers of America chapter. We have some recognitions here for various competitions and offices that they hold. Hannah Kunkel was elected the Region FFA Vice President and a regional finalist in job interview. Both Madeline Potter and Alyssa Scott were regional finalists in the Creed speaking competition, which is sort of an important and tried and true FFA competition. Priscilla Rushing is our FFA section vice president, and Lana Leonard is the FFA section treasurer. And if you know these students and what they're asked to do, they are working their way to develop incredible leadership skill. One of the things our students in the computer and media pathway are allowed to do, they participate in a film competition called Directing Change. And this is an important effort for suicide prevention. This year, Matthew Biandara was selected as the second place winner in the suicide prevention film category, and Angelina Arias, honorable mention in the animated short category. Just outstanding films that these young people produce. And finally, our last competition that just ended. If you get a chance, if you are at some point you can come by, the art submitted to the district virtual art contest, we have printed and put up on the walls at the district office to bring some light and joy back into the building because we're missing students and those kinds of things. Theda Smith and the director of curriculum instruction put together a wonderful art contest. And so the students listed here were the selected winners for the art contest. And they submitted them virtually, but we did print them out. So for the TK through second grade division, we have Alyssa Rogoza as our first place winner, Andrea Tolodanes for second, Caden Lovett for third, Caden Smario for honorable mention, and same with Anika Gilbert on honorable mention. In third through fifth grade, Kaylee Sowers, first place, Caden Kimbrough, second, Jonathan Holloway, third, Nevea Palayo, honorable mention, and Lynn Mao, honorable mention. And for sixth through eighth grade, just some wonderful things. The Kiana Johnson for first place, Ella Chow, second, Lexi Redmond, third, Nathan Watts, honorable mention, and Elizabeth Muse, honorable mention. And then the last contest that actually just wrapped up was for the same kind of thing, but this time the second week was poetry instead of art. And so our aspiring poets that sent things in for TK through second were listed here: Sham Malui, first place in the TK through second, and Thomas Musselwhite, second place. Third through fifth, Zane Price, first place, Kaylee Sowers second, and Nevea Dominguez third. Sixth through eighth, Lexi Redmond first, Maria Wilson second, Anthony Perez third, and Jocelyn Martinez honorable mention. And then in the high school division, Kylie Boyd first, Serenity Andrews second, Nisha Subramaniam third, and Miguel Vasquez honorable mention. And for the art contest below, I don't have the 9th through 12th grade names listed there, but we will be making sure and sending them a prize as well. So just wanted to share those names. We'd normally be clapping and shaking hands and welcoming these parents to a night and hoping they went off and got some ice cream on their way home afterwards, but we're in different times. So at least we could do is honor them by reading their names and bragging about them a little bit.
Thank you, Pat. And if you do want to see the pictures, they are on our website on the front page. If you scroll down, it goes into a slideshow below all of the celebrations for seniors. So please take some time to look at them. They're amazing pieces of art. The next recognition is very difficult as well because we're used to having them in front of us and getting to celebrate our 2 high school representatives that are with us at each board meeting. They're part of our group, and I hope that when we are face to face again in the big room that we can bring them back and celebrate them in person. I'm going to start with recognition for Riley Seeley, who is heading from Apple Valley High School. Riley has been an exemplary student athlete at Apple Valley High School. Her leadership on and off the field is exceptional. Riley has been an officer in student government since her freshman year, culminating with her being selected for student body president. Riley's love and dedication to soccer is demonstrated by being selected to the varsity team all 4 years, while being chosen as captain for her senior year. Riley was chosen as MRL second team player for the 2019-2020 season, and I believe she was actually selected and noticed about that online because we were at a distance. Riley's commitment to excellence doesn't end with leadership and athletes. She is a 3-year National Honor Society member and has been in the Computer and Media Pathways program for 4 years, which gave her the opportunity to compete in Skills USA. She was awarded her academic letter and recognized as a distinguished scholar, accumulating a 4.1 GPA. Her soccer coach, Tabitha Bedina, said, Riley is a 4-year varsity player who has continued to grow and develop her leadership skills, not only on the soccer field, but also within the school, on the school campus. Her strong and kind personality, as well as her positive demeanor and drive, will lead her to accomplish great things in her future. Riley plans on attending Cal State San Bernardino in the fall, majoring in math. She hopes to become a high school math teacher and soccer coach. And we hope Riley does that and comes back to Apple Valley Unified School District and teaches for us.
Right.
The next one is Erin Fogert. She was the 2019-20 ASB president as a junior. And I don't remember the last time we've recognized an ASB president as a junior. So that's a huge accomplishment. And I know why. Every time you run into Erin, she has a huge smile. She's bubbly. While doing a great job increasing dance attendance and overall school spirit, she also maintained a 4.125 GPA and took 3 AP classes. She is a member of the National Honor Society and the mock trial team. She is the vice president of mock trial and also a team captain. As you heard earlier, we are so excited to have Erin back in the fall as the senior reporting at our board meetings for the 2021 school year. Erin has a younger sibling that is just as bubbly as she is, so it's got to be a family thing, and I'm sure we will see other things in the future with Erin. So we're thrilled to have her back, and I'd like to just recognize them for all the work they did at each board meeting, preparing and presenting to all of you. Thank you, girls, ladies, and congratulations, Riley, on your moving forward to college. Okay, under public comments, Kylie, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Thank you. Under superintendent comments, I'm going to go ahead hoping that we still have a few people following and watching because their kids were just recognized, and do the comments now, and I will not have anything at the end. I know reopening schools is on everybody's minds. We sent a parent survey out this week and appreciate the feedback we are receiving about what our families would like available for their children in the fall. This feedback is needed and necessary for our next survey, which will be deployed to staff. Yesterday, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention provided a guidance document, which many are believing is directive, meaning they're telling us we have to do these things. Actually, they're suggestions. And so in tomorrow's newsletter to our staff, we have included the information that shows that it is, to the extent possible, is the term they're using, whether and how to implement these considerations while adjusting to meet the unique needs and circumstances of the local community. Implementation should be guided by what is feasible, practical, acceptable, and tailored to the need of each community. I will tell you that today in Tony Thurman's presentation, we are going to get further guidance from the state of California, Department of Education, having to do with reopening schools in California. As we move forward with the state budget impacts and reopening of schools, there are several areas where advocacy will be needed. Flexibility with waivers for teaching credentials, waivers for our K-3 class size reduction funding. There is a current cap on independent study, which includes remote learning, and there's going to need to be some work on waivers to allow us to have more students within our district have that ability. Flexible when we're not under a governor's executive order for closure. Flexibility on instructional minutes, flexibility on supplemental and concentration funds. Pat will talk a little bit about that later, but as you know, that's how the funding comes to us for our unduplicated count, and we have to show progress in supporting goals for those particular students. And so it is really the only funding left out there that is similar to back in 2007-8 when we had categorical funding that allows us to have some flexibility. And so we're hopeful that they will look at that as well. And although the schools are recognizing the class of 2020 with events, we will still anticipate an in-person graduation. As we receive guidance about this, I will update the board. So as you heard Riley say, we still have 2 dates, one for Granite, one for Apple that is posted for June. We have 2 dates in July, one for Apple, one for Granite. High Desert Premier is doing virtual because it's a small number of students, and if they want to do something as well, they have the opportunity to. But with Mr. Williams retiring, he felt like getting at least the virtual done was a start. And then as a reminder, you're welcome to participate in the San Bernardino County and Capital Advisors presentation tomorrow regarding the governor's May revise. And I'd like to, well, I'll save this last one for the very end. I will have one comment at the end. Okay, Mr. So, any comment?
No, for tomorrow's meeting, did we have the instruction center to us, or we just dial in for the board members?
You should have received an email that gives the information, so we can try to locate that for you because you were registered. So we'll find out how it came, and we'll get you the information.
Yeah, and I want the board to know that it is important that if you can attend, so you can hear directly how the budget's been impacted. I have heard a bit of, or quite a bit of that during the SANDEPS meeting. And yeah, definitely we are all concerned how this, all this can be restored. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. So. Mr. Bender.
No, I just like to say that it looks like this second Zoom meeting went a little bit better. That's all.
Agreed. Thank you. Mr. Raleigh.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Trinae and Scott for bringing these, highlighting these students' accomplishments on today's agenda and reading the names. It's unfortunate that some of these students couldn't be recognized in person, but it shows that there's still such great students out there, and that they did such great things, and I appreciate going through each one, highlighting what they did. Hopefully, it'll bring some meaning to their accomplishments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sokpara.
I wanted to start out by thanking our police department for helping during the nutrition. Sometimes we fail to recognize them for the work that they do, but I wanted to take this opportunity to thank them for the many times that they participated in the nutrition. You know, it's in the board packet. And also to thank our teachers for doing a good job in the distance learning. It's still a learning curve, and we're hoping to get there. And finally, to congratulate our seniors. The seniors who by this time we would have been thinking about doing the prom and homecoming, or all of those things that seniors do. But we just want you guys to know how proud we are of you, and and wish you all the best and see where this leads us at the end of this journey. And to tell the parents how much we appreciate them for their patience during this time.
Thank you. Mrs. Davis?
Oh my goodness, this has been probably the roughest year anyone has ever seen in education. We go through our lives and we think it could never get worse than this. I don't think this could ever get worse. But how we are so lucky that everyone's trying their best to bring our students the education that we can supply for today's considerations. I worry that, you know, they feel like they were cheated out of this or that. And I want them to know in my heart, I wish we could, but it's beyond our circumstances. And we have to always look on the bright side and be thankful for what didn't happen. Though it could have been much worse. So thank you, students. Thank you, parents. Thank you, teachers, and our wonderful administration classified. I think I've got everybody covered. Thank you all.
I think you do. Thank you, Donna. Okay, under discussion information, Mr. Schulenberg, information on the governor's May revision.
Thank you. Just a few points on the governor's May revision that was released back on the 14th. I had the opportunity, along with Mr. Conrad and my director of fiscal services, to view school services online May revision update on Tuesday, and of course tomorrow with Capital Advisors and San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, little presentation. So kind of what we're faced with here is unprecedented economic situation globally, not just in the state of California, but the entire world, with significant impact on the state of California. As California is the 5th largest economy in the world, it's very susceptible to any significant economic waves. So kind of what California is looking at is approximately a $41 billion budget deficit over this year and next year. And then if you add increasing costs related to social services designed to support those individuals and those people impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, they're projecting approximately a $54 billion budget deficit. Now, that's going to affect school districts' revenues, as school districts' revenues are directly related to any revenues at the state level. And the local control funding formula revenue is our largest piece of our revenue that flows to us from the state. And what Governor Newsom has proposed is essentially to adjust our LCFF up by 2.31%, which is the statutory COLA, and then adjust it down by 10% from that higher level, which nets approximately an 8% reduction in our LCFF funding. Now, for Apple Valley Unified, we're estimating that at this point to be between $13.5 and $14 million of lost funding. And now this loss occurred late in the year. It's very hard to react to something this large in expeditiously. We do have a budget that we're going to have to adopt here very soon, and it's going to be very difficult because the assumptions are currently a moving target as we work on our budget. My director of fiscal services did attend a budget workshop today with the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, and we'll be debriefing tomorrow locally, and of course I'll be watching the Capital Advisors presentation tomorrow. I will have more detailed information at our June 4th meeting, and it's the projected effects specifically on Apple Valley Unified School District. And we will also be holding our public hearing on our proposed budget on June 4th. And then on June 11th, I will also have an item if there are any informational updates as to the state of the economy in California or our LCFF funding. And we will also be bringing the budget to you for your adoption at the June 11th meeting. That's all I have currently on the May revise, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Number 2 is requesting authority to piggyback bids of other public entities for the 2021 school year. Mr. Schulenberg.
I'll second it. Do we need any? Yeah.
I'm just going through the discussion information. So if you have any questions, now would be the time.
Trinae, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
This actually should be re-agendized as a discussion action item. That was my oversight.
Okay. So
we can bring it back at the June 4th meeting for action if that is the desire.
okay. So I'm going to need direction if we can bring this back as an action, an information action item, discussion action item for the June 4th board meeting. And it's the request for authority to piggyback bids on other public entities for the 2021 school year.
No problem. I also.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Presentation on local control accountability plan, LCAP, Mr. Schlosser.
Okay, thank you. This is nowhere near as fun as the student presentation part, but still definitely a critical piece of the puzzle here. So just as an update, shared verbally and just a couple of pieces of information on during the May 7th board meeting that talked about the changes to the LCAP. And I wanted to present that in a more formal way to you and also answer any questions you might have about that. And so these are slides that we borrowed straight from the California Department of Education in some cases. So you're getting information that's hot off the presses and fresh to the group regarding direction for the LCAP. All of this is hinges around executive order listed there and 5620, which essentially gave some flexibility to the timelines that govern the LCAP. And so a quick overview. It does extend the deadlines for the 2021 Local Control Accountability Plan. And so the submission deadline now is December 15th. As I mentioned 2 weeks ago, it is our intention to submit to you this temporary one-year LCAP prior to the December 15th. However, it may not be until the fall. The reason being is they have yet to present the template. So we don't know what the requirements for this temporary document are. Also, as Mr. Schulenberg mentioned, we don't have great clarity about the budget. And so these items will go hand in hand. However, we wanted you to know that we will be bringing to you essentially a very short-lived LCAP that will be kind of a bridge to the more long-term document that will come a year from now. And so we will be submitting that LCAP, the temporary one, to the county superintendent of schools LCAP division. They also did waive the requirement for the LCAP and the budget to be together in the June board meetings. So usually Matt and I both have in June, the first board meeting, we do a public hearing and then we do an adoption, the second board meeting. So there will not be that same step for the LCAP. And instead I will be submitting a summary of our intentions with the LCAP. Not that that's required, but we think that's important for you and for our stakeholders to see. However, instead of an LCAP right now, what they are requiring is something they're calling an operations written report that must include what actions our district has taken to deliver high quality distance learning, to provide school meals, and arrange for supervision of students during ordinary school hours. We have been working on that document. The template was released a couple of weeks ago and we have a draft prepared and we will be submitting that to you for your approval in June and doing the appropriate public posting that is required of that document. So that information is presented there. The template is available. You can take a look. They do limit your answers to the questions they've asked to 300 words or so. Wanted to go through just a couple of these frequently asked questions, just in case these are questions that come to you. And so one of the questions has to do with, will we be required to use the template that was previously adopted? It's an online template for the LCAP. The question is, must we use that same template for this temporary one-year LCAP? And the answer is no. There will be a different template that they will publish. They're saying late summer is the last I read that this morning. And so we'll be watching every couple of weeks for a new delivery of the temporary template to determine what is required in that document. So there's at that moment no template for this one-year LCAP. And so which metrics will we have to do the annual update? The template, metrics, and process is still to be determined, but Apple Valley has always taken great pains to be transparent, to include all community stakeholders, and we will continue to do that. If you remember, we had a March 9th District Advisory Committee just 4 days before this closure, and we are anticipating bringing back to them a plan. We will do that to them. We will send that plan to them by email. We have all their addresses, and we'll keep them informed that way. But as soon as we can meet, even virtually, once we have good budget information and a clear target, we will continue to do that with all stakeholder groups, those that are required. Local indicators. It's important for you to know that we are not bringing to you the local indicator data that was required with the LCAP because they've removed that requirement, and they have yet to say exactly when those local indicator data are to be taken to the board. Remember, local indicators are the things that have to do with employee appropriate teacher assignment, the fit report, a survey of our facilities, textbooks per the Williams Act, process for making sure our curriculum is up to date, and items, again, such as those that are not on the dashboard other than whether or not we met the requirement. And of course, finally, whether we are engaging our parents in surveys, which is required. And so, of course, we do that. So what you can expect. There will be an operations written report to you on June 4th. We also intend to give you a tentative LCAP summary to accompany the budget. In the fall, I don't know exactly which board meeting, I'm anticipating October or November, there will be a temporary LCAP that will cover the 2021 school year. By that time, it will be old or partially, the school year will be going for some time. In the spring, about a year from now, we will be back in the LCAP process with our stakeholders. And then finally, in June of 21, we'll be submitting a 3-year plan to you for the years listed there. So our local context, what happened before we closed? Our district advisory did give us priorities by grade segment. They were absolutely clear about their desires. And at that time, we based our work with them on the budget data we had. And although it was quite different, it was still anticipating the need for reductions. And so the recent budget information indicates an even greater need for reductions. So as was mentioned by the superintendent, we do not necessarily know what flexibility there will be for those supplemental and concentration grant dollars, but we'll be watching that carefully because how those students, the students who generate those funds, what goals we have in our LCAP that are focused primarily on the increased proportionality statement where we indicate how those students receive in greater quality or quantity services as a result of those dollars. We want to make sure and meet the requirement and also serve those students. The changes that the District Advisory Committee asked for in March have to do with reducing professional learning, using our own staff. We will be doing a virtual format in the summer. It will be voluntary for teachers, and we'll be avoiding student days whenever possible so that we will do 2 things. 1, reduce the cost for substitute teachers, and also keep our students with our teachers as much as possible. They miss them terribly. 2, as you saw, or rather as we'll talk about in a moment, reduce summer school for only those courses we must have in summer. There will be a decreased contract with our SELPA only for PBIS trainings. Of course, our SELPA will continue to be our go-to for many of our services for students with special needs. But we do also have a quite extensive contract for PBIS that we will be reducing. And we will also be reducing the model of delivery for that contract so that it will be in time with teachers that is away from students and reduce again our sub costs. We will be reducing our after-school funded LCAP, or LCAP funded after-school programs rather. And also you'll notice a change in the maintenance item in goal 4, which was a set aside for routine restricted maintenance, and making sure that we make any accomplish any savings that we had. I'll stop there. Any questions about the LCAP?
Yeah, I do have a question. Because you have just the LCAP for till December, I think it's just for the 2020 portion of the early portion of the year. Are you going to revisit what is already on the current LCAP in order to make a deeper cut so that we can afford what was decided by the old stakeholders?
Yeah, in the intervening time, you mean before, while we're waiting on that December LCAP? Yes, that's
Correct.
why I intend to work with Matt and Cabinet to bring you a summary plan that accompanies the budget. So there'll be an LCAP summary, although not required by the law and not required by the state superintendent. We will, I think it's wise to do that because it keeps the budget and the LCAP linked.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Pat,
No.
the next thing on the discussion information is summer school 2020 this summer.
Yes. Summer school, just a brief presentation just to make sure that things are clear. For summer school, I'd mentioned just a moment ago that there will be a reduction to just the courses that we must offer. So that includes things like the extended school year. Extended school year is not what it first sounds like to the untrained ear. It sounds like just adding days to the school year, but rather extended school year is actually a legal designation for students whose IEP calls for extra days for certain students, and it is called out for in their individualized education plan. It is not a large group of students, and it's often for many students for extended school year, it's those students who are severely handicapped. So we will, as required by those IEPs, be offering the extended school year from June 1st to June 26th, it's 20 school days. It will be virtual, again, because we do not have clearance to have an in-person class setting at this time, but it will be a slightly different model than what we've been doing in that there will be a reduced ratio, student to teacher. There will be daily check-ins, and we'll be working with how to do that in a live setting. Their ratios will be small so that the teachers will be able to check in with every student every day. And we'll be working to continue to skill development as best as they can in this environment. We anticipate 5 to 6 teachers being needed for that, and that posting went out today. For high school summer school, we will offer our same number of days, 2 12-day sessions. It's our regular schedule. However, they will be virtual. This is for credit recovery and very limited offerings for PE classes for those students whose 4-year plans call for them to have PE in order to maintain a pathway or participate in a pathway at the high school level. We anticipate needing teachers in core content areas only, in places where students have failed a class and need to take it again to maintain their pathway toward graduation. So we anticipate students in math, English, limited social science, and maybe one life science class. Remember, this will be credit recovery classes they've already taken, and we will be meeting with those students again slightly differently. This will be every day. We anticipate this being live check-ins during the day with all students. And we're going to have students responsible for 3 hours of work, and then the teacher will also have an hour of prep beyond that. We're going to follow, get some training for the teachers in the week prior to summer school. Notice that this one starts June 8th. It gives us a week in between. That training will be conducted with using the best practices for this kind of work. And actually, it will serve for us as a way to kind of bridge between what we've been doing now and what we as was mentioned earlier, what we may need to do in some small way as we start in the fall. What we definitely need the credit recovery. These students need a pathway to graduation. And so we also have posted those positions. But remember, this won't be on campus. There won't be busing, transportation, custodial staff required, et cetera. So there will be cost savings there. And then I'll pause there for questions.
Question for the credit recovery. In the past, it's always said that we've always been told that if a student is absent from summer school for a certain number of days, they're dropped. So do you have that criteria in this process as well? We
did. Our intention is that if, just like with summer school, if they miss an entire day and then the next day, so it's always summer school, at least as when I was a site principal, was they could only miss one day and they had to make it up. If once they were not there that second morning, we dropped them. Here's how we'll differ though. What we want to make sure and do is we want to make sure and call and find out what's going on. And so it will be part of the responsibility of the teacher to do outreach, thus that prep hour. And we anticipate having to do some home visits, to be quite honest with you. We've been doing those during this spring, and it's proven to be very helpful. But what's good about now is that, one, we've been doing this. Two, we have things like hotspots on hand, ready to go. Someone is having trouble getting connected. So yes, there will still, the time is so short, they just can't miss it. However, we want to make sure if they're missing at 9 o'clock in the morning, by 10 o'clock, we know why, and we've gotten a hold of a parent and that we figure out what's the problem and solve it. Or if we must drop them by the second day, we will.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schlosser. Discussion action session. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following items. Approve the certificated and classified personnel actions as listed. May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bender. Was it Mr. Bender or Ms. Okpara? I apologize.
Okpara.
Whoever.
Okpara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the requested leaves as noted. I need a motion.
So move.
Move.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Raleigh. Thank you, Mr. So. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing chairperson effective immediately on stipulated agreement STIP number 7, 2019-2020. I need a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. So.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bender. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On the consent agenda, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider approving a number of agenda items as consent list. The consent items are routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion without further discussion. This procedure conserves meeting time for a full discussion of significant issues. The consent items to be approved in one motion are number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We have pulled number 6 and number 9 earlier in order to discuss. Can I have a motion to approve all except 6 and 9 at this time?
So moved.
So move.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Bender and Mr. So. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, so number 6.
Well, my question on number 6 had to do with the education protection account. It is obvious that the district has, or there will be money, 20 million plus. And I just wanted Matt to explain how that money is being used and what the money is going to be for.
Great. Thank you. I'll be happy to address that. The education protection account was actually created by Proposition 30 back in November 2012. What Prop 30 did is it levied an additional sales tax and an additional income tax on high income earners in the state of California. Revenues received through those 2 additional tax levies were then deposited in the state general fund and put in the education protection account per Prop 30 in the legislation it created. That education protection account is used to offset state aid to school districts such as Apple Valley Unified and community colleges. And the breakdown for last school year in terms of our LCF revenue and our state aid and what came to us is, out of our LCFF revenue last year, approximately 15.8% of the apportionments we receive are from the education protection account. That's the approximately $20 million. So that essentially reduces the state aid that flows to us, and it's replaced by the EPA funding. One of the requirements for the EPA funding is that it is not spent on administration. So the entirety of the EPA funding is used on teachers in Apple Valley Unified.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go ahead and take a motion on number 6 to
Move to
approve.
approve it. So moved.
Mr. Smith,
A second.
I need a second.
I got it.
Thank you, Mr. Raleigh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then number 9 was pulled as well?
Yes, and that's another financial question. And the question I was asking is, it says that we have 13,000 plus of unpaid cafeteria money. And could you explain where that money came from, or who's owing us this money?
Yes, thank you. I'd be happy to. In recent years, the California legislatures have determined that we are to provide meals to all students who present in our lunch lines, regardless of whether they have money on cash or on their lunch account. Previous years, we were able to provide alternate meals to those students, and there would be no charge to their account. But the legislatures did identify that that was termed meal shaming. You may remember that term in the news over the last couple of years. So we are no longer able to provide alternative meals to the students that do not have any money. So we give them the same lunch that every other student gets, and then we do create a debit on their student account for the charge for that meal. Any debits on accounts that create a negative balance, the parents are contacted and advised of the negative account balance and asked to pay that account balance. Unfortunately, we do have many parents that choose not to pay those account balances. And at the end of each fiscal year, after we've made attempt to collect that debt, it does turn into bad debt by definition in the Code of Federal Regulations. And the National School Lunch Program monies are not allowed to cover that bad debt. So our unrestricted general operating fund must make a contribution to our nutrition services fund to cover that bad debt.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll need a motion for
So
number
moved.
9. Thank you, Ms. Russo.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then any questions regarding the staff reports? Okay. The last were to J, comments. Any public comments, Kylie?
We have no public comments.
Okay, thank you. I know I said I was going to not have any comment at the end, but I do want to say a couple things. One, I should have recognized that we know that Erin is coming back as your representative from Granite Hills High School. However, Maisel Sia is going to be the senior class or the presentation at each board meeting from ASB. So normally Riley would have brought her and let her do a presentation at the very end, and we didn't get to do that trade-off. So maybe in the fall we'll get to do that. The other thing that I recognize is that next week, if you looked at the weather, it's supposed to be incredible. And that's uncalled for, unheard of in graduation history. And so I just want to go on record to say that the pandemic has all kinds of effects. And I think next Wednesday and Thursday you ought to go outside and realize that it would have been a beautiful evening in the stadium. And so we hope that when we get to do a face-to-face, we get that same thing. And then finally, I'd like to recognize Monday's observance of Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And all of those who gave their ultimate sacrifice of their life for our freedom. So we will honor them. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
then, so any other comments?
No.
Mr. Bender,
No.
Mr. Raleigh,
Nothing further.
Ms. Okpara,
No comment.
Mrs. Davis.
No comment.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Any future items? Okay. As we're using DocuSign, normally this would be the time we would be passing the file for everybody to sign. If you would take a little bit of time to check your DocuSign and log in on Monday, or Tuesday. We won't do it on Memorial Day, but if you look early next week, you'll have your DocuSign and you can get all of those things done. You may actually have them there right now from the previous one. And then our next regularly scheduled board meeting is June 4th. Same time, same crazy virtual way to do this. And there being no further business to come before the Board of Trustees, it is recommended that the meeting be adjourned. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Oh, second.
Mr. Bender made the motion, and Mr. So seconded. And I need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
You opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
If someone will just text message me, we can end the breakout room and bring them back at a moment's notice.
Okay.
Does
So
someone have my cell phone number?
I don't
Okay.
have Pat, I only have Trustees, so I can, we're only looking at about 10 minutes here. So,
okay, so
fine.
as soon as you guys are done,
Trustees, how about I just text you?
perfect. And then as soon as you're done, I'm going to have Maria.
I'll text you done. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to have Maria go ahead and call Donna. I'm going to hang up with Donna so that she's on the voice with Maria's phone. So Donna, I'm going to hang up on my phone call with you. And then as soon as you guys are ready, we'll get back in. So we'll stand by. You're going to go into a breakout session now. Thank you.
Okay.
Donna, you have to press the join breakout session. Ms. Davis, you have to press the, if you can hear me, please press the join breakout session.
What?
Welcome back, everyone.
Okay.
Okay, really?
Vamonos.
There being no further business to come before the Board of Trustees, it is recommended that the meeting be adjourned. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Mr. Snow, who do I have as a second? Ms. O'Park?
Alpara.
Okay. And I need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, guys.